The Little Dragon Draconi, and the Secret of Fire Breath. Chapter 1. The Brave Little Dragon.
Once upon a time, there was a hidden valley, surrounded by high, rugged mountains, where a clan of dragons lived. The valley was a true paradise, full of lush plants and sparkling waterfalls flowing down from the peaks. In the midst of this peaceful place lived Draconi, a small, curious dragon, who was known for his adventurous spirit and his constant joy in discovering new things. One day, Draconi was playing hide and seek with his friends in the surrounding woods. As he hid behind a rocky outcrop, he heard his friends whisper, "Draconi is such an adorable dragon, but it's a shame he hasn't learned to breathe fire yet," said one. "I worry about him," agreed another. "Without that ability, he could get into trouble in the wild." Draconi was saddened to hear their concerns. He didn't want his friends and family to be afraid for him. Determined to learn how to breathe fire, he decided to seek advice from his grandmother, a wise and experienced dragoness. "Grandmother, I want to learn to breathe fire, so I can protect my friends and family. What should I do?" asked Draconi. The grandmother smiled and told him about a legendary dragon elder who lived deep in the mountains and mastered the secret of breathing fire. She said, "The dragon elder is very wise and powerful. If you meet him, and he knows your heart to be true and brave, he will teach you how to breathe fire." Draconi felt inspired and decided to go on an adventure to find the dragon elder. He knew the journey would be dangerous, but he was determined to expand his skills and make his family proud. Over the next week, Draconi prepared for his journey. He said goodbye to his friends, who encouraged him and wished him luck. When the day of departure arrived, he hugged his family tightly and promised to return soon. With a brave flap of his wings, Draconi pushed himself off the ground and plunged into the unknown, determined to find the dragon elder and learn the secret of fire breathing.
Chapter 2. Departure into the Unknown.
Draconi flew through the air with great, powerful beats of his wings, leaving his home village behind. He marveled at the picturesque landscapes that spread out below him, rolling hills, dense forests, and sparkling rivers that meandered their way through the land. After flying for a while, Draconi noticed a group of birds playing in the distance. Curious, he flew toward them and asked if they had heard of the legendary dragon elder. "A legend, you say? We have heard of a wise dragon who lives high in the mountains," replied the leader of the birds, a magnificent hawk. "But we do not know if it is he you seek." Draconi thanked the birds and continued his journey. Soon he came upon a group of deer grazing peacefully in a clearing. They, too, had heard of a wise dragon that lived in the mountains and gave Draconi some hints on how to get there. "You must follow the river upward until you reach a great waterfall," advised a majestic stag. "There, you will find a narrow path that will lead you high into the mountains. Perhaps there you will find the dragon elder." Draconi thanked the deer and followed their advice. He followed the river upward, admiring the beauty of nature around him. He met more animals who told him stories about their own abilities and experiences, and with each meeting, Draconi's knowledge and understanding of the world around him grew. One evening, As Draconi rested at the base of a mountain, he encountered a group of bats fluttering about in the twilight. They told him about their special ability to see in the dark and how they use this to move around in the night and find food. Every creature has its own abilities and strengths. The leader of the bats explained, "We may not be dragons that can breathe fire, but we have learned to make the most of our own talents." Draconi felt a deep gratitude for the friendship and wisdom of the animals he had met on his journey. He realized that each was unique and that learning to breathe fire was only part of his own strength. With renewed determination, Draconi continued his journey to find the Dragon Elder and learn the secret of fire breathing.
Chapter 3. The Test of the Elements.
Draconi continued to fly uphill, always following the river, until he finally reached a massive waterfall that plunged thunderously into the depths. As the stag had advised him, he discovered a narrow path winding up the side of the waterfall. With caution and determination, Draconi began his ascent. As he climbed the steep path, Draconi suddenly felt the wind around him increase. Dark clouds gathered, and before he knew it, he found himself in the midst of a violent storm. Rain pelted down on him, and howling gusts of wind threatened to tear him from the narrow path. Despite the danger, Draconi remembered the words of the Bat God, who had told him that each creature had its own strengths and abilities. He decided to focus on his ability to adapt to the most adverse conditions and steeled himself against the storm. "The storm may be powerful, but I am Draconi, the brave dragon," he shouted to himself as he struggled further up the path. As Draconi reached the top of the waterfall, the storm cleared and the sun broke through the clouds. Exhausted but proud, he had passed the test of air. A new path stretched before him, leading through a dark and mysterious valley. Draconi entered the valley and soon noticed that the ground was covered with mysterious signs and symbols. He suspected that this was the test of the earth that the stag had told him about. Determined to meet the challenge, Draconi began to study the signs and symbols, trying to decipher their meaning. While he was looking at the symbols, an idea came to him. He remembered the many animals he had met on his journey, and how each of them had taught him a lesson about strength, cooperation, and adaptability. Draconi decided to use the wisdom of these animals to solve the riddle of the symbols. He began to arrange the signs on the ground to represent the various animals he had come to know: birds, deer, bats, and many more. Suddenly, Draconi felt the ground tremble beneath him. The symbols began to glow, and a mysterious voice echoed through the valley. The mysterious voice spoke, "You have used the wisdom of the animals to solve the riddle of the earth. You have proven that you are willing to learn from others and appreciate their strengths. Therefore, you have passed the test of earth." Draconi felt pride and joy rise within him. He had passed not only the test of air, but also the test of earth. But he knew that one last challenge awaited him: the test of water. He followed the path out of the dark vale, and soon found himself at a large, deep blue lake. On the shore of the lake, Draconi saw a small fish caught in a net. The fish was wriggling desperately, trying to free itself from the net. Without hesitation, Draconi approached the fish and asked, "Little friend, can I help you?" The fish replied, "Please, good dragon, I am caught in this net, and I cannot free myself." If you could help me, I would be very grateful. Draconi thought about how he could help the fish without hurting its delicate scales. He remembered the many animals he had met on his journey and the different abilities they possessed. He decided to carefully use his claws to cut the net piece by piece until the fish was freed. When the net was finally torn, the fish swam happily in the water and thanked Draconi. "Thank you, brave dragon. You saved me, and for that I am deeply grateful." At that moment, the mysterious voice sounded again, this time from the lake. "You have used your skills to help a friend in need, and you have proven that you possess a truly compassionate heart. Therefore, you have passed the test of water." Draconi smiled and felt his heart swell with joy and pride. He had passed all 3 tests of the elements, air, earth, and water. Now he was ready to meet the Dragon Elder and learn the long-awaited secret of fire breathing. With renewed confidence and determination, Draconi set out to find the wise Dragon Elder.
Chapter 4. The Meeting with the Dragon Elder.
After Draconi passed the tests of the elements, the path led him through a narrow gorge that opened in the mountains and led to a hidden cave. As Draconi drew closer, he noticed that the cave was filled with an awe-inspiring aura, and he sensed that this was the place where the Dragon Elder dwelt. Full of respect and humility, Draconi entered the cave. Inside he found a large, open chamber, in the center of which sat an ancient dragon, its scales marked by time and radiating a deep wisdom. Draconi knew immediately that this was the Dragon Elder his grandmother had spoken of. The Dragon Elder raised his head and regarded Draconi with wise, penetrating eyes. "I have been expecting you, young Draconi," he said in a low, gentle voice. "You have passed the tests of the elements and shown that you are brave, wise, and compassionate. I am ready to teach you the secret of fire breathing." Draconi reverently bowed his head and said, "I thank you, wise Dragon Elder. I will do my best to follow your teachings and use my skills for the benefit of my family and friends." The Dragon Elder smiled and began to teach Draconi the secret of fire breathing. He explained to him that fire breathing was not only a physical skill, but also required a connection to one's inner strength and to the element of fire itself. Draconi listened intently and practiced diligently while the Dragon Elder instructed him in the art of fire breathing. In the days that followed, Draconi trained tirelessly under the guidance of the Dragon Elder. He learned how to control his breathing and his flames, and discovered how to create different temperatures and fire forms. Finally, after many hours of hard work and practice, Draconi was able to spit a powerful flame from his mouth. The Dragon Elder looked at Draconi with satisfaction. "You have learned well, young dragon. You are now a master of fire breathing, and I am proud to have had you as my student. Remember that this skill carries with it great responsibility. Use it wisely and for the good of all you love." Draconi thanked the Dragon Elder many times and left the magical place knowing that he had now mastered a very powerful ability.
Chapter 5. The Return of the Fire Dragon.
After learning the secret of fire breathing from the Dragon Elder, Draconi set out on the return journey to his home village. During his journey, he again passed through the beautiful landscapes he had admired on his outward journey. But this time, He felt stronger and more confident, thanks to the wisdom he had gained on his adventure. On the way, Draconi again met the animals he had encountered during his journey. He told them about his meeting with the Dragon Elder and what he had learned. The animals were impressed with Draconi's newly acquired skills and congratulated him on his success. When Draconi finally returned to his home village, he was greeted joyfully by his family and friends. Everyone was eager to hear about his adventures and to learn if he had learned how to breathe fire. Draconi proudly recounted his experiences and the tests he had passed. Then, as the climax of his tale, he demonstrated his new skill by shooting an impressive fireball into the sky. The entire village erupted in cheers, and Draconi's family and friends proudly embraced him. They knew that Draconi was now able to protect himself and those he loved. But Draconi also realized that learning to breathe fire was only part of his true strength. The biggest lesson he learned was the importance of cooperation, friendship, and compassion, values he would keep in his heart. In the years that followed, Draconi grew into a powerful and wise dragon. He shared the stories of his adventures and the lessons he had learned with the younger dragons of the village. Through Draconi's courage and wisdom, they too learned to recognize and appreciate their own strengths and abilities. And so Draconi and his clan of dragons lived happily and in harmony with nature and the animals around them, and the valley remained a place of peace and friendship for all who entered it.